War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together, we sit down, and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. Always tend to be heavy on sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Thank you for joining us, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We appreciate you being here with us, even for just a small amount of time, just to hang out with us and spend some quality time enjoying and maybe sometimes not enjoying the things that are going on in the world of Auburn. On tonight's live stream, it is our open mic call-in show that will open up just shortly. So if you are ready to take part in that, hold your horses for just a second, and we'll let you in as soon as we can. But you can call in tonight. The main topic, we always have a topic prepared on these Wednesday night regular live streams, that being National Signing Day, which really wasn't a national signing day for Auburn. But we can get into anything just so that you know if you're getting here and you're expecting us to only talk about National Signing Day, recruiting, things like that, we will hit other topics. We can bounce around a lot on these shows, and I hopefully will hear some from you, always built upon your reactions, your comments, your questions. That's what our channel is about, and that's what this show is focused on tonight. So that is what we can get into. A couple things that you can do for me to get things started off tonight. I already see a great crowd storming into the chat here already. If you can, please do make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out, does help other Auburn fans find it. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, share it out on there in Facebook groups, hit the share button, the retweet button, all that good stuff. But right now in the chat window, the one thing you can do, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, with a War Eagle. Let me know who's here hanging out with me tonight. Would love to hear from you and know where you're watching from, even if you're watching on the replay. So as I said, we're going to probably start off with discussions about National Signing Day and see where that takes us. But I know we probably want to talk about maybe some more exciting things. There's still the whole madness that was last night for Auburn basketball and Auburn Twitter that we can discuss a little bit. Anything is pretty much fair game here and what you guys want to talk about tonight. Let's go ahead and check in on everybody that's here in the chat so far. Brandon, I wouldn't go that far, buddy. Here, let me go ahead and just say this for everybody. I want everybody to do this exercise with me real quick. Everybody take a deep breath. Let's not overreact about football. Does it look good right now? No. But it's not as bad as you think it is. At least I think so. I don't know. That's just my opinion on everything. We are a basketball school, always, Rob, but we are an everything school. It doesn't matter how good or bad those things are going there. Dusty checking in from Pensacola. Good to see you there. Carrie, you can call in just a little bit. We'll open the phone lines up in just a minute. Jacksonville, Alabama checking in. Huntsville. Obviously, Neil from my neck of the woods. Good to see you there. Let's see here. What might you be hearing about Auburn getting a new OC? Last time I talked to people who tend to be in the know, the speculation still was that we would promote Keesaw, the wide receiver coach who was a former offensive coordinator for Harsin. And then after that, it's kind of up in the air. I think it makes a lot of sense to move Trevon Reed into a positional role, the way he's recruited for us at wide receiver. And that's just kind of where I'm sitting at right now with how everything's gone down. I haven't really investigated or put a lot of time into trying to really dig deep further than that. So that's kind of still where I'm settling on until I see or hear differently. Incredible atmosphere last night. Huge loss today. Well, was it a loss, though? It depends on how you choose to look at things, but I know what you're saying there. A lot of people had their hearts and minds set on Trey Citizen. Obviously didn't work out. He even trolled all the SEC schools in his announcement today. So there you go. There's the fun, the up and down roller coaster that is falling recruiting continues. Lake Martin checking in. Corey Benson's here. Joshua Epps. Al Selman from Kennesaw. Man, we got a humongous crowd just from all over the place. Another South Carolina. Everybody from across the Southeast United States is checking in here tonight. Thank you guys so much for being here. A great crowd to start off the night. What we will hear from later on is what our show is brought to you by tonight, and that is our channel members. We'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in some of them. You'll see some of those notified by the icons that they have next to their name. But we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. I do want to open up the call-in line for everybody now. If you look at the top of the chat window right now, up at the very top, it should be pinned up there. You can click on that link and call in at any time that you'd like tonight. We're going to be going just under an hour probably tonight, or as far as the conversation takes us within that hour. So feel free to click on that link. You can be on camera, off camera, whatever you'd like to. And I'm posting it again in the chat window. If we get multiple people calling in at the same time, which happens from time to time, we'll probably just take you guys one at a time. So just be patient if you can. But there it is, open for anybody that wants to take it. Can Auburn hire Cam Newton to help with recruiting? He's still with the Panthers, right? I haven't been following him past that initial reunion with the Panthers. So I know things were a little testy kind of between the coach and the team and all that kind of stuff going down the line there. But yeah, I haven't been following him all that much. Losing Austin Davis is a negative thing. Zach Blackerby said that Auburn is falling apart. And to be honest, I'm worried about Auburn football. I love Zach and I respect him a lot. I am going to disagree with him, though, without actually seeing what his comments were in context. I don't think Auburn is falling apart. And let me break that down a little bit for you, Carrie, and for everybody else maybe think along the same lines. To fall apart means that you had expectations that Auburn was going to be better than they were. And I didn't anticipate this. We did a whole regime change that was going to have a lot of attrition, that was going to have a lot of problems that come with it. Auburn hasn't gone through something like that in over a decade, because the transition from Gene Chizik to Malzahn was literally nothing. I mean, he walked in day one with basically his players. And so that's why you saw that early success, had his team already established there. So for me, while it is frustrating to watch, struggles in recruiting, the way the season ended, transfers in and out for the coaches and the players alike, I understand it. And so it's not falling apart for me. It's just what is supposed to happen with something like that. That's just my opinion. Everybody's entitled to theirs. Believe the shopping list wasn't big enough. Interesting. I don't know. I'm going to trust that the coaches put a lot of time and effort in this and went after who they thought was going to be the best time spent, like the most efficient use of their time, who was going to come to Auburn or not. War Eagle from Texas, Devin checking in. Thank you again so much. Ready for the snow and ice in Texas? Y'all are getting some more of that? Jeez. Last year was enough for y'all dealing with that, because I had firsthand experience of that, because we had a wedding to go to in just above Dallas, Texas. And that was something else. When you talk about pandemic with a snowstorm of the century, it's not good stuff. It's not good stuff. Dusty says that Cam is done in the NFL. He didn't play well. That was his last chance. So has he retired, though, yet? If he hasn't retired, I'm never counting him out. But hey, if Cam Newton wants to come back and do something at Auburn, I love that. I love having Auburn guys come back into the fold. So bring him on. That's more the merrier, I can say at this point. We got plenty of room. With how bad it's going with all these players leaving for no reason, seems to make me really think Harsin is the wrong guy for the job. Well, let me break that down a little bit, FJ, for you. Just kind of take that piece by piece from you just a little bit here. Why do you think that's happening for no reason? Unless you have firsthand knowledge of why those decisions were made and are not just getting it from a message board and what people are saying, and people like me, frankly, then I think it's a little rash. Now, I'm not trying to be rude, but rash to say that it's not happening for no reason. It just seems like it's no reason for us, because we are operating with 25% of the information. They're operating with 100% of the information. But I understand why it feels that way. I understand why it seems like things aren't making sense. But I think there was this expectation that was set that we were somehow going to be able to switch this thing around in 1 to 2 within the first cycle of Harsin's year. And now that that's not happening, we've got some people that are not some people. We got a lot of people that are having to come to the reality of what they were really asking when we chose to fire Gus Malzahn without having a quote unquote home run hire. And I'm not saying that Bryan Harsin is or isn't. I think he should be given the time to prove that he is, and then we make that judgment call. But one season is far too soon to be making those type of calls. Seems like every time we have a good coach, they wind up leaving. If you're talking about Austin Davis, what makes you think that he was going to be a good coach? I'm not sure about that. Can we hire Jason Campbell? Again, I love bringing Auburn guys back into the fold. Let's bring him on in. All right, we got our first caller tonight, one of our regulars and one of our Booster Club members, Mr. Dusty. How's it going, sir?
Hey, Oregon, everybody. How you doing, pal?
I'm doing just fine. I think the world's crashing down after the high we all had last night. We literally have gone from the highest of highs last night coming back down to reality when you take the whole of the Auburn experience into account and not just basketball. So it's as it is the case for being an Auburn fan, Dusty. You know this. It's a roller coaster ride.
Before we get into the X's and O's and kind of what's all going on, I will say this because I just don't have anything really positive to say about what's going on in football. But I will say this: in my lifetime, when Auburn has zero expectations and should be really, really bad, we go to the national title or something.
I love it. Right now, are you calling national championship this year from right here?
In basketball, hell yeah, I've been calling.
In basketball, yeah. Good. Hey, way to turn that around on me. Way to turn that. That was well played. You've been here long enough to know how to turn that around on me. All right, man. Come on. Let's get to it. I know there's not a lot of positive things to talk about in the football realm, but I know it's some stuff that's on your mind. So, what are you thinking? Help me. Get in the mind of Dusty? What are you thinking about all this stuff?
Well, first thing, man. I don't want it to be one of the situations where if Harsin doesn't work out, I don't. That doesn't mean that moving on from Gus was the wrong decision. Just if this guy doesn't work out.
Okay.
I feel like, well, I'm not going to get on. Gus is gone, and just the way things are going, it's just it's concerning, man. I mean, like, I just saw where Johnson entered the portal. So you actually, Javaris Johnson. So he was Harsin's praised him multiple times. Yeah. There's a D lineman that entered last week, Marquis Robinson.
Yep.
He was praised by Harsin as one of the he played over Lee Hunter. He got playing time as a true freshman over a big time recruit like Lee Hunter, and he went to high school. I mean, I can throw a rock at the stadium he played in. I live right across the street from him. And man, he was so fired up to go to Auburn. The people that I know that kid, they said he loves the school. That was kind of what I was told. It's like, well, what's that mean?
Right.
So it's all very concerning, man. I mean, it's the Austin Davis thing. There's no control over that. And, obviously the guy told Harsin he was in, and I don't really understand what he thought goes into recruiting. Like, this is a very hard job. 100% college is harder than the pros. Joe Brady's talked about it openly. He's made it very clear that this recruiting is just this TikTok generation on top of the NIL, on top of the portal. It's just I imagine it's tough to deal with.
Yeah.
But you took the job, man. And I'm not buying that he didn't know what was going into it. It's just like, then he didn't study.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you there that I think that I think Austin's being honest and saying that's part of the reason he decided to leave. But I think and I would hope honestly that if you make that quick of a transition of, oh, I'm in, I'm out, that there's multiple reasons. Like there's like compounding thing for you. And probably the other reasons would not be as favorably viewed, but this is the easiest out, is to say this is not and I don't mean, I don't want it to say or sound like when I say easy that he is being dishonest or doing something wrong. He's got to do what's best for his family. But I do agree with you that I think that maybe there's something else that why this decision was made on top of that, in addition to why he left, if I understood you correctly.
Yeah. And it's not like, it's just like, so I guess we're starting to kind of find out that Mason told the defenders that he was just taking some time off, that the coaching was too stressful for him, and then this kind of deal. And they were completely caught off guard by him taking another job. And then it sounded like, from what Harsin said at the Senior Bowl, that was the truth. So, it's one of them situations, man, where it's like, you're not like looking at one. Yes, there's reasons for these things. But did you look at it as a whole? And as a whole, you didn't get a single guy today. You missed on everybody after you had momentum on the early signing day. You've
Right.
lost coordinators since then. You've lost both your coordinators since then. Of course, the citizen wasn't coming. I didn't even look into that. Like, who would if I would not send my child to the to Auburn right now?
Mhm.
Absolutely no, not in football.
Right.
It's just it's just not a you don't even know who the offensive coordinator is, and at this point, it's just a mess, man. Like it really is, and we're gonna see. I mean, who are
Uh-oh, Dusty, I think we froze up there a little bit on you. Yeah. Well, as soon as you get back in, I'll let you finish your thought. But to kind of go off of what Dusty's saying there that was an awkward way for him to freeze on the frame there too. I can't even talk because I'm looking. There it is. Dusty, you're back now. Hey, that was an awkward freeze. The way you froze on the camera here, you'll have to go back and watch it. It was kind of funny.
okay? Cool. I got caught.
All right. Finish your thought though.
No, so it's I'm not on here saying fire Bryan Harsin just because of where we're at in the game. He's going to
Right.
get the shot next season, so we'll see how these guys because it's going to be his guys. Is it going to be Keesaw?
It's the way I'm leaning right now. That's what I have been told is the direction it's likely going to head. But I've been wrong before. I've been told wrong before, and I think as crazy and tumultuous as this offseason is, I personally expect to be wrong at this point. But I just think Keesaw makes the most sense with what we've been through, because right now this team needs stability. It needs continuation. It needs something that it can count on. And Keesaw, I don't think anyone's knocking down his door, no offense, major college football to come get him right now. So I think this is a guy that would stay around for a long time on offense, let them get this thing established. I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's better options or any other options out there that are on the table?
Well, so what we were talking about what Zach Blackerby has said. What he said on the podcast specifically was that he spoke to somebody at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
And he asked this person, he said, this person is very close to the program. And he said, he asked the person directly, is it as bad as it seems on the outside looking in?
Right.
And that person told him, whoever that person is, told him it's worse. So that's,
yeah.
I don't know what all that means. I really don't. Like I said, Harsin's gonna get his shot. He seems pretty intent on what I've read and stuff about having a QB coach. So if that's the case, I'm sure there's more NFL guys he could probably go talk to that have a similar type pedigree as Austin Davis. I'm sure there's some QB coaches around the league that would still view it being an OC at a big program like Auburn as a good opportunity and a promotion. The same way that the whole Austin Davis thing was being spun. Like I'm sure that so we'll see if he brings in somebody for that. It seems like a special coach just for quarterbacks is very important to him, and I'm not disagreeing with that. It's the most important position on the field. So I guess my biggest disappointment from the offseason totally, man, is obviously the way this coordinator situation has gone. And then there's no denying that we needed to fix up front, and we had to get a playmaker to a wide receiver. And I thought we've actually got worse in both those areas.
So what if we the ones that we got rid of, because some chose to leave on their own, were the problem? And what if the ones that we have brought in, I actually have the list pulled up here that I should have been referencing this entire time. Let's see here. We've got Michael Riley Ducker is a tight end. I mean, I know, everybody's going to say, well, 3 stars, all that stuff. Camden Brown, Jay Fair, and who's the third one? I thought there was a third one here. I could be wrong. But, what if those guys are the ones that are going to be what fixes it? Huh? Say that again.
Yeah, there was another guy. I think the Camden Brown.
Did I say Camden Brown? I thought I did. Camden Brown. Oh. Omari Kelly. The 4-star. That's he's an athlete, but I would say as full as we seem to be at defensive back right now, probably going to see some time. Hey, if you want to play wide receiver, now's the time.
Somebody got to step up.
Hey, we better be very thankful of Shed Jackson right now, because he's the only one that seems to want to be there. He may drop a few passes from time to time, but Shed Jackson, you are my man for sticking around here, buddy.
I'm not worried about Shed dropping the ball. I just need him to stay on his feet. If he stays on his
That's
feet, he
true.
catches it.
We need to get him like the cleats that have not the spikes just underneath, but like on the sides too and stuff like that. Just so like when he starts tilting over, it grips in even further, you know?
My freshman year, my pads were too big. I fell over. Had to go get smaller pads. You might talk to the equipment guy.
Hey,
Shit.
you would have talked about small pads. So I was a kicker in high school. I think you probably tell. Well, I'm not scrawny down here, but I'm scrawny up here. And the pads that I had to wear still in high school were like way too big for a kicker. And so like every time I would kick, like, you know, they would basically sling around me. They were so big, you know? So I know about that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not what we came here to talk about tonight. What else is on your mind in all the Auburn stuff?
Alan Green and whoever, I'm not sure of the president's name and all that. That stuff's always changing.
Right.
But all those guys that got the Bruce Pearl deal done, that's awesome. Let's get him everything he wants. To raise for assistance, let's get that done. If he wants facilities, let's get that done. And that's kind of my thing too is with the football, I want Bruce to get his money. I want Bruce to have his facilities.
Yep.
Football's the engine. It drives this whole thing, man. So that's why football's got to be at least winning 9-10 games a year, in my opinion. Like this can't be the situation. We can't lose 5 in a row. So because that fuels everything else.
Yeah, it does.
So, but I'm so thankful to Bruce for not being enticed by those big schools. And I've told you before, I wasn't really worried about it, but still just thankful, that he basically was saying, I appreciate Auburn. Like, because we took a chance on him. We hired him away from, he was at ESPN for a reason. He was in some trouble. We took a chance on him. We gave him a shot. So one of the last things Jay Jacobs did. And thank you, Jay.
You may say a lot of things about people can say a lot of things about Jay Jacobs, but one thing they better thank their lucky stars for is a guy taking a shot on a guy named Bruce Pearl and see because and I say that with like you've already addressed Alan Green, President Gouge, still interim president, but still president at this moment, signing on, getting him locked in. Credit goes to everybody who's had a hand in that of either recognizing from day one, we need to take a shot on this guy because we need somebody to take a shot on us. And when the fruits of the labor are here, you need to recognize that in how you compensate, whether that is financially, whether that is in facilities, whether that is in taking care of the other things that he wants you to take care of. This is how it's supposed to work, with Bruce, the things that are going on with Bruce and Auburn right now. And it's a nice little contradiction to how things seem to be going with football right now.
Yeah. And again, I'm not out here, claiming fire Bryan Harsin. It's just I'm just looking at what I'm looking at.
I got you. Not good to look. There's not a lot of good things to look at right now. I'll grant you that.
and hey, man, well, like I said, you look back at 2004 and nobody predicted that to come. You look back at 2010. If we were ranked, we started off 25th. And then obviously Guts' first year was what it was. So all 3 of those years, the expectations were very low in Auburn football. And, we did what we did. So that's that.
Got him right where we want him. Got him right where we want him.
Shout out to Linda. I hope you had an awesome time at the game.
Oh, yeah.
That was just a crazy atmosphere. And it's so cool to see the school leaning into everything. Bruce with the broom and the peacock and doing the crane kick, I sent it to my cousin. He's a big Bama fan. I've yet to get a response.
I bet not. I bet not. Go ahead.
I was like, he's only into basketball when they beat us. He's a typical Bama fan. When they beat us, he watched it. But I didn't watch that. I don't watch basketball.
Of course. The funny thing that I love about this right now is that they have adopted the crane. We have adopted the peacock. And I'm going to just, I think you've been here long enough to know a little bit about my former background. I actually have a zoology degree from Auburn. I worked with birds. And it's just funny now to me, like seeing that dynamic, because I'll tell you right now, peacock ain't taking down a crane, but we certainly are with what's going on, at least on the court. So it's just funny watching that whole dynamic for me as a zoology background person. So anyway, hey, man, thank you for calling in tonight. And I'm glad you had pretty well-rounded thoughts all the way across the board as usual, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. You got a score prediction for this weekend?
Oh, yeah. For this weekend, Georgia, I think Georgia will probably give us a close game to start off with. They've shown that they can do that. I will say 83-68 Auburn. They pull away
Okay.
pretty far at the end there. I can't let you get away without one. You got to give me a score prediction too.
I'm pretty similar to you, but I'm gonna go 85-62. There's like
A little bit
8 of the
more.
players are from Georgia. They're gonna be fired up to play in this game. They've already talked about how excited they are for it. And I think you're gonna see a lot of Auburn fans there because this was the cheapest ticket all season for Auburn. So if you're gonna get your chance to go see us play, you maybe not have some money. This is your one shot. So it's gonna be a lot of AU in the building.
Cheap is relative, sir. Have you seen the ticket prices for that right now?
Do they jack it up? Did Georgia jack it up?
I think it's like 120 now or something like that. Maybe last time I checked, I could be wrong. Maybe I looked at the wrong thing, but
Yeah.
Auburn.
Well,
Auburn
they took
man.
advantage. Yeah, they took advantage. Their tickets will be back down to $3, next week, and then I'm sure they'll turn off their replies or something like Bama did last night. Just crazy.
Oh God.
Hey, and I saw you. I saw you. By the way, you dropped about 15 on them.
Listen, I got off this live stream, and I could I usually know that I have to settle down after these, not in a bad, like, I'm just like, it's very stimulating to be here talking with all y'all.
Bama,
and all that. And I was like, I need to calm down so I can go to bed. And then that like set in that was happening. I was like, oh no, sir. Oh no, sir. This is my duty to do this. I was like, I'll be honest with you too. I have somebody that helps me with some of that as well. So we sometimes overlap each other too much. That was going on last night a little bit. So
I got you. Well, all right, hey, buddy. Man. I appreciate you, man.
All right, War Eagle, buddy.
All right, War Eagle, brother. Have a good night.
All right, that was Dusty, one of our regulars. Thanks for checking in as always. You can call in too if you'd like to. Don't be shy. Don't bite too hard. The link is at the top of the chat window right now on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. I don't know that you can access it from there, but you might be able to. But I posted it in the comments right now if you'd like to take advantage of that. We're jumping all over the board tonight. I know we've started off titling this thing as signing day. We really haven't talked about signing day and what didn't happen, but we've talked a little about the implications of it, the football program, where it's going. And that's kind of what, the way it would, I felt like it would go tonight, even though I remember, I think it was Corey was asking Kyle, we're going to do a national signing day stream. And I was like, well, yeah, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, is there going to be anything to talk about? Probably not. Big Sip, check it in. What's up, sir? Thank you so much for being a channel member. Walker said on Facebook that rebuilds are never pretty. The Bruce rebuild wasn't pretty either. Yeah, it was pretty nasty, and not nasty. But just it kind of dipped down for a little bit, would come back up. But I think it's a much different situation, right? Basketball had no expectations, zero. We were the pits of the SEC, the pits of college basketball, frankly. We had no business beating anybody. We were making excuses like we can't win with Under Armour. Never going to let that die, Tony Barbie. And football has seen success, has witnessed those high moments, those good things, and seen us rebound before. So it's hard to process all of that when I'm even like kind of rethinking all this in my head now. It's just a very convoluted situation that I understand people's frustrations about, but I also want to caution people to just take a deep breath on. Let's see here. Rob, the reverse rammer jammer was the loudest I've ever heard. It's always hard to gauge that when you're watching online. And I got, I saw the videos on Twitter and stuff like all of you did. And it sounded loud, but I'm sure it was much louder in experience. I can't do the meme thing for Auburn. I would get banned. Yeah, don't do it if you're going to get banned, sir. Benjamin says, I see a lot of red flags with this coaching staff talking about football. I'm a guy that is behind our coach all the way, but I don't know, man, red flags everywhere. Kind of like I was saying with Dusty earlier. Yeah, there's not a lot of things to get excited about. The last exciting period that we really had was that early signing day. I also want people to realize too that the way this has shifted is that was our signing day. I'm not trying to put lipstick on a pig here, but you can tell in the way that they set that up, the way that they invested in that on social media, in their props, and they knew this was going to be our big day, and they went full in on that. So this, for those of you that think that this is catching the Coach Harsin and staff off guard, that things are falling apart, they probably knew the way things were going to go on the actual signing day for us, and it should be taken advantage of when they had the time to. And also, what I would also caution everybody to say is, and I say this whenever you hear stuff from me as well, everybody's going to has their people that they talk to, and everybody is going to have sources and things like that. Everybody has the guy who's close to the program. You always, even us who have those people, should take that with a grain of salt, because they have their own biases. They have their own ways they see things, and they might hear something and only hear what they want to hear out of it. The same goes for me. I'm a guy that tries to put a little bit of a positive spin on everything just because that's my disposition. I just find that's a happier life to live. But I also have to sometimes recognize that, there's not a lot of good things going on with the football program right now. Cohen brought up nothing but bad news since the MBA. I kind of count that in with that, but yes, the MBA announcement was pretty awesome. It was a pretty cool way that was done as well. Big Simp, transfer portal, NIL, different way of going about getting and keeping kids. Now Harsin has done well where he has been. Patience, please. If he doesn't work, he will be fired. Point blank. Absolutely. If he doesn't get the job done, he won't last here long. And then we'll go searching again. I'm trying to be well behaved tonight. No better medicine for Harsin than taking all this personal and bringing the pain next year. Cupboard is not bare. Our total number is closer to 85 than most realize. One of the good things that Coach Harsin and staff have done in this recruiting cycle is take advantage of the transfer portal. Now, you can look at that and say, we've also been hurt by it. True. And two of those are quarterbacks. One of them is not going to start because you can't start technically two quarterbacks. So really, it's probably just 4 positions you helped. You got Zach Calzada and Robbie Ashford, Eugene Asante, the linebacker coming in from North Carolina, I believe. Yes. DJ James and Jason Jones coming back to Alabama, where they're from, to play in-state here at Auburn from Oregon, completing the trade for Bo Nix with Ashford as well. So they did a really good job of closing on the early signing period, which is basically the signing period now, or the signing day, and going into the transfer portal. Now, I think if we are sitting here with at least 2 offensive line recruits, this day doesn't suck as bad. And I'm talking about outside of Eston Harris, which I am very happy to have. Then this looks a lot better. People are still maybe a little bit disappointed because it's not as big of a day. But I think that's the thing that people are missing. Everybody's accustomed to getting excited on this day. That excitement has been taken away by the early signing period. And I'm not saying that's wrong, like that they do that way now. But you have to remember that the excitement that you usually ramped up into one day, anticipated, that we're accustomed to, has been taken away. It is gone. No more. Yeah. Appreciate your feedback on the feedback. The my way or the highway shouldn't be the end all be all. Change is good, and there's more ways than one to motivate players. I had to just realize that's E-Money. He changed his name up a little bit, but yeah, there's definitely more than one way of doing things, way of motivating people, coaching things. And, I think Coach Harsin has to get his way of doing things started here, and then he can adapt from there. But right now, you have to lay a foundation. And when you lay a foundation, you have to, for instance, here, we're actually at my house having to do some flooring stuff pretty soon here. You have to rip up the old floor, the old foundation. You have to sand it down, which means you get rid of it. It looks kind of ugly for a time. And then you lay that floor down and you realize, wow, it's kind of pretty. So just a little bit of food for thought there. Lee says we need offensive line. We're good on defense and with the quarterbacks for 2020. I agree. Everybody knows that. Coach Harsin knows that. Everybody knows that. My thing is that everybody has assumed that we have not taken care of those needs by not seeing recruits come in. I think that those needs have been taken care of. There's still probably room for somebody to come in if they want to on a transfer portal situation. I took a brief look through the transfer portal based off of 24/7. I didn't see a lot of options out there left, but there's still room. Things can change on a dime. It's good that a lot of people are too young to remember the Barfield area. That's very true. Very true. Cohen says early predictions. I think that 2022 I see us going 4-8, 5-7 at best. Well, I would say we have a pretty good shot of going those first 5 games at home undefeated. I'm still willing to at this point to say that we got that advantage here. Hugh Freeze to Michigan. Wow, I doubt that's going to happen. I could be wrong. Seems like a bit of a step up for him since from where he's fallen to, but again, I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong. All right, I'll get back to your comments and questions here. Let me take this brief second here. You've seen a lot of people popping into the chat all night. I got to remember to take the comments away when I do this thing here. But our channel members, they have the icons next to their name. If you are interested in supporting our content here on the channel on YouTube, you can do that a couple of ways. All those listed in the description. But the channel membership, all you got to do is hit the join button. Easier to find it on the top, 99 cents. You get access to those icons next to your name, which level up. Those are the Tumors Corner toilet papers. You get more of them the longer you're here. And then you get access to these emojis. By the way, there's new emoji in there for you guys that are already channel members. You got a peacock now, so use it before you lose it, I guess. Channel memberships. We thank you guys that are already channel members. And if you would like to take part in that, check the link out in the description or just hit the join button. That is what I wanted to tell you the show was brought by today. Rob Richardson. By the way, I've interviewed Mr. Rob Richardson about his Auburn story. You should go check that out. I think it was episode 27, something like that, somewhere along that time. We should give Bruce another lifetime contract. Well, I don't know that Bruce is immortal, so I think one will do just fine for him. Just saw that Harbaugh is staying. Well, I guess that's a moot point and if that's true. Let's see here. Catch back up on some of this. I remember the Barfield era. Maybe that's why I'm still optimistic about Harsin. Yeah, I would say that people that lived through that, I didn't. Well, I think I was alive. Was I alive? No, I wasn't. Are probably going to be more optimistic people. So yes, from what I understand about that time frame, it was not a good time to be an Auburn fan. Said he was staying at Ann Arbor. Yep, that looks like it there. Dusty using the peacock. Way to go, sir. Way to sweep week. Always being mortal in our hearts. Like I said earlier with Dusty, it has just been one of those more interesting weeks in 24 hours in Auburn sports, where you go from one of probably the most fun nights, and I was sitting here in my office, not even in Auburn, to today where people forgot it was National Signing Day because nothing was happening. In case you weren't aware, there were about 4 players, I think, that Auburn was on the table for, and none of those ended up panning out, obviously, or we'd be talking about them. I think we did technically get one preferred walk-on, if that makes you excited, at a linebacker position. But that's about it. That's about all that happened. People had their hopes set on Trey Citizen. Even if we had gotten him, I think people would still be very frustrated with today. But all in all, Auburn right now, I'm going to pull up I'm just looking at 24/7 for simplicity's sake. As things stand right now with National Signing Day, obviously, I'm sure there's people still to make decisions that could affect this, but Auburn's sitting at 18th overall. Not bad, considering what's going on in the program right now. 8th, in the SEC. So you're not in the top half. That's a little frustrating, but, that shows you how good the SEC is at recruiting right now. All things could be considered. The way Auburn has struggled to keep players, keep coaches, and everything else in between, I know it seems like I'm just trying to be Pollyanna here and sunshine pumper, but there is reason to be, encouraged about what has happened in regards to what has been going on at Auburn. Yes, Robert, we spoke about that a little bit earlier. It is frustrating to see more opportunity for other guys to step up, in my opinion. Let's see here. You wanted Citizen, but LSU, Florida, Miami all finished ahead of us. Yeah, that is frustrating to watch. Russell, Bruce declined being the highest paid SEC coach salary because he said he hasn't earned it yet, said he has championships to win before accepting the title. Legend. Yeah, and that's a good way for anybody to approach that. But I also think that Bruce, and I think that's why you saw that laid out in his contract. We did a video this week kind of breaking down what his contract will look like for the next 8 years. It's built in anticipating that coming, right? You know, we see the foundation laid by the program. We've seen the trajectory it's heading on. This is what you're going to earn in sequence on top of incentives that I'm sure we're not privy to yet. So he will get paid, and he will become eventually the highest paid just by simple fact of staying here and doing what he's doing now. Last I looked, Auburn has 10 spots left on the roster. I don't have the roster pulled up here in front of me. Typically, you see us take between 20 to 25 a year, depending on your senior class who left. And now that's just all kinds of crazy with the transfer portal. So it's hard to really keep track of that fully. I would imagine if there are spots available, Coach Harsin is going to fill them. And with who wants to be here at Auburn, excuse me, I don't know why I keep having a little bit of a, almost like a burp there going on. I know it's a little gross, but you get the peeled back here. So glad we didn't get Citizen. He was just playing everybody. We don't need that in the locker room. We have a great running back room. You know, I think it would have been great to kind of continue to add that. What I actually took a look ahead at 2023 recruiting class, and Auburn's already offered, I think, according to 24/7, I think it was 5 running backs already. I think there was like 2 5-stars, if you care about such things, 2 4-stars, and then a 3-star. You can clearly see, and they offer a lot of people every year, but I think people are recognizing we need to get the next guy in after Tank, you know, or the next big one, because you've got guys behind him now, Damari Alston, who's coming in that can fill those roles, but there's very much a need to lay down and knock down right off the bat who are we going after in terms of running back. So I think that's already a focus there. I'm probably going to do a videos here soon, just kind of talking about some of those, what I think Auburn's going to do, what are they going to focus on in this recruiting cycle. We all know it's offensive linemen. But yes. Got a nice 10 million pad at the Ridge. Really? How do you know that? Have you been there? I see that 3 freshman wide receivers we have coming in are getting a lot better playing time early next year. One way to look at that too, Cam, I think you're kind of leaning this way in the way you're speaking about it, is again, laying foundation. Have a group come in together and kind of grow together will be a good thing. It's kind of what you saw happen with Anthony Schwartz, Seth Williams, Elijah Stowe, but Elijah Stowe was like the ancient wonder who would never leave. And I wish he hadn't left. But, you know, there's something to be said for that. So while you may not have the type of season that you would hope you had next season, I'm excited for what happens after that. And I'm not just saying this now to toot my own horn or anything like that, but I think people can go back and find when they were asking about my outlook for Harsin when he first got here. I expected him to have some exciting times in his first season. It happened, right? But probably not what people were going to hope for, which happened even less than I thought. I thought his second year would not produce a lot of extra fruit for the labor, but the third year, that's what I'm excited for. Russell, glad you enjoyed that video. I try my best to put some thought into these videos because look, and it's no shocker here that I do this for a living, and I have to produce the videos to make a living for myself. But I want to make them enjoyable for you guys and hopefully informative, and not just me sitting there talking the entire time. Just to do it, just to put a video out. Wade says that all our position groups are improving. I would say a lot of them are. A lot of them are. The improving being it more long-term improving as opposed to quick improvements. I think offensive line's still kind of up in the air, but we'll see what happens there. A lot of you are asking about hiring Freese. Is you have to protect your daughters on campus. Jeez. Yes. Here's what I'm going to say about the Hugh Freeze situation. First of all, I'm a Christian. I think I've said that before, and I believe in forgiveness. But just because I believe in forgiveness doesn't mean that you give people the responsibility and the trust right away. They have to earn that back. From what I understand from people that are pretty familiar with Hugh Freeze, there's been a very, at least what seems a drastic change in his life to kind of rectify some of those things. And so I think he's taking care of that. And so at some point, I hope someone does give him the shot. And if that's Auburn, great. Do I think he's the best option for us in the future? Maybe, if Harsin's not here. But I'm happy with who we have right now. Kyle, do you think they're going to change the transfer portal in any way to calm down the chaos? If so, what do you think could be done? I also think, Dusty, that the chaos is partially due because of the COVID thing. Excuse me, C+, as I should be calling it here, or else they're going to ding me. You know, that's the way things go these days. C+, that whole extra year, no penalties, I think give it another year, maybe 2, because I think everybody gets it one time, and I don't know if everybody's used it yet. You know, things will probably calm down in the transfer portal a little bit, but that whole thing, when you count in bringing in NIL, C+ one-time transfer rule, and just opening up the transfer portal even more, whew, things got crazy, really, really crazy. Leighton says, hopefully there will be some decent pickups after spring transfer portal wave comes through and not just leftovers. This is a great point. So think about it this way. And this is why when we did our breakdown of who is likely going to be the quarterback, that video, I told you I was going to do another one after spring practice, because that's what's going to happen, especially at quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that realize they're not going to be the starter are going to try to find somewhere else to go. And I'm not saying that's what we need. Obviously, we've got plenty of options there, but you're going to see that, take place. Wow, our people just dropped out. Everybody who was watching is now gone. I think it says one person is now watching on the thing. We just went from like 85. I think now we're back. Okay, I think we're back now. That was really, really weird. It really went from like almost at 90 people watching to 1. That's a little bit scary. Anyway, if you guys are still here, let me know, because that was a little bit odd there. Clint's here at least. Team Crack says, War Eagle baby, great crowd tonight. Yeah. Let me see here. There's another wide receiver that might leave. It could be at this point, man. E-Money, I would say anything's possible the way things have gone at this point. All right, let me get back down here. President, I'm here. Everybody's here. Okay, good. Like I said, so I have several things that I monitor with. So it showed me like nobody watching all of a sudden when we were almost at 90 to like, and the same thing over here on the other thing that I'm monitoring. So I don't know what was going on there, but I'm glad you guys are still here. Team, I'm so sorry to hear that. Sorry that you're going through that right now, but yeah, obviously we love you and your family, regardless, but because you're Auburn fans, so I hope you guys are doing okay. You've seen that it's a YouTube glitch, Kyle. Interesting. I wonder if everybody else is running that tonight. That's doing the whole YouTube thing tonight. And I'm getting a lot of people now that I think are delayed. So what you might have to do is refresh your screen. We're going to be on here for just a little bit longer, but you might need to like refresh your screen, because I think it probably delayed you guys on the back end. So I'm seeing a lot of comments that seem like they're delayed. Anyway, that's what happens sometimes when you do a live show over the internet. Things happen. It's just kind of the way things go. Great question, Larry, on this off the subject of sorts, but they're still Auburn family members. Any recent news on Gus's wife's health? I do not know anything official, but I was doing a little bit of research about that, seeing who seems to know things. It seems like there's a theme that she may have gotten. For those of you who don't know, Christy Malzahn had a really bad bout with C+ and was, I think, had complications because of it and spent some time in the hospital. And I think she is either been maybe discharged or things were starting to improve. But yes, our prayers are really with the Malzahn family right now, because nobody deserves to go through that. Dusty, thanks for checking in tonight, as always, my friend. What's the love fest with Ole Miss where all these players are transferring to? That's all you need to know. Who's got the cheese? And here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing about NIL transfer portal stuff. We all used to joke that there was $100 handshakes. There are now $100 handshakes in the wide open, just in the form of NIL contracts. It's just the craziest thing nowadays. Corey, I know you want Joe Brady, my friend. I do not want Joe Brady anywhere near this program. I'm sorry, I don't. 1-year wonders are going to be what solves this thing. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but that's just me, though. Kamar Wheaton was a 5-star 2021 class transfer running back from Bama. Wonder if we'll pursue him. If there's a spot available and we need somebody, I can promise you that Coach Harsin is going after him. See, the viewers just dropped out again. But over here, it's the weirdest thing. YouTube is acting up tonight, so I'm sorry, guys, that I'm having to kind of address that. But just trying to make sure that everything's copacetic on my end. In fact, I'm going to turn my Wi-Fi usage off on my phone here to make sure that it doesn't affect me. A little bit off the wall here, but we can discuss it. Who's your favorite NFL team? None. I was raised as a Packer fan, and I was very adamant about them for a time. I was a very big fan of the Rams for a little bit, with the Greatest Show on Turf, Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner. I tend to now just follow wherever the Auburn players go and kind of root for that. I don't really follow all of the NFL teams until they get to the playoffs all that much. Damian Craig as an option. We've done it before. Again, I think I've said this before, but I personally feel like we've seen that song, or we've sung that song, we've done that dance. Why do it again? But if we need him, we'll bring him in, right? Ole Miss and Kiffin equals cheaters. Proof and point. 10 million fake injuries this year speaks volumes about coaching that. There's not much I can add to that. Am I going to the Georgia game? No. I would love to. If anybody has a ticket that they're not using, let me know. I would love to go. I would really love to go. Let's see here. I want to get into the NFL, but I wasn't raised liking it, so hard to find a team living in Alabama. I think the best thing for you, Cohen, being an Auburn fan, is find a team with a player that you really like from Auburn. Invest in them, but just understand that, they're going to probably leave at some point, and see if it's a team that kind of grows on you. The Panthers kind of started doing that for me when Cam Newton, and I tried to kind of hang on with them, especially with them bringing in Derek Brown, but it kind of faded for me without Cam Newton. And now I know he's back, but oh well. Never hurts to have more depth, right? If somebody wants to be here, bring them in. I mean, heck, that's what we did with a quarterback, but I think there's a point where there's probably too much. You need to probably fill those spaces with other people. Let's see here. Broncos fan, not a great year. Yeah, from what I understand, not so much. They haven't had too many great years of late. Cam, just want a good quarterback coach who's capable of having great input into the game plan. I think everybody wants that. I hope, everybody, and I'm not picking on Cam here, but I'm saying this for myself, everybody, when we say these things, we think these things, the coaches are thinking the same things. Just because we're not seeing the fruits of that labor doesn't mean it's not being attempted. Let's see here. Move Trevon Reed, wide receiver. Eric Keesaw to OC. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But the Keesaw thing, I don't know about Trevon Reed. I think it needs to happen, but that's just me. I started watching the NFL with Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. They're all gone. I really don't care much about the NFL. It does feel like there's this wave of talent that we all recognize gone. And I think it's about time where the new wave starts to set itself. And I think that's starting to happen, even though I don't follow the NFL strongly. But you've got guys like, and I'm talking about quarterbacks specifically, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. I'm blanking right now. I mean, I wouldn't throw Matthew Stafford in there because he's kind of getting in the older round. But there's a young crop of like quarterbacks that you can kind of lean into and like. that I think are going to be the next wave. We'll be talking about them as the Brett Favres, the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's at some point. Ben Laird wants to be OC. I say no. I don't have any inference on whether he'd be a good one or not. So I did see his comments, though. That was pretty interesting. My mom constantly tells the story of when I kicked an inflatable Bama mascot at age 4. That, well, you were raised upright, sir. You were raised upright. Kessler needs a big NIL so he may consider to stay another year. Here's the problem, though. If he's getting the attention that he seems to be getting, he absolutely needs to go this year. You don't waste years like he's having if he gets the numbers. It depends on who else center-wise is going in the draft. But, yeah, if we can convince him to, if anybody own a business in Auburn that wants to pony up some cash, you could certainly do that. And maybe you can play a hand in getting him to stay for another year, because we could really, really use him once we lose Jabari. And we are losing Jabari. All right. Last minute comments and questions here. Get them in, but a couple of reminders here. Again, our show was brought to you by our channel members. You can sign up too by hitting the join button. There's also a link in the description. You can get little icons next to your name. You can get access to those emojis, the brand new peacock emoji. So those are always fun things to have access to. Hit the join button. It's only $1 a month to be a channel member here. There's other ways to help support our content as well, listed in the description. Check all that out. We will be back again next Wednesday with a regular scheduled live stream. There will be post-game shows after each of the basketball games coming up. Obviously, Georgia. So stay tuned for those. Those usually go on right after the basketball game. If I'm not in attendance at the game, if I'm somehow there, it might be a little bit delayed, but we'll see what happens. And just stay tuned. You never know what happens. I'll be posting some more videos about things that are going on in Auburn sports. Best thing that you can do for yourself is be subscribed here. Hit that notification bell. Follow us on social media so you never miss any content from us. And obviously, our Booster Club members get a little bit of exclusive stuff when we have it to offer to them. All right, last minutes comments and questions here. Team, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate that you enjoy that. Glad I could give you a little bit of something for tonight. Moore says we need a good fullback to make holes in the run game. If we utilize the fullback these days, we don't really use that too often anymore. Stay up, my friends. Long season to right the perception ship. Baseball starting to see. Yes, Corey, we're going to be talking about some baseball stuff here on this channel. Again, it'll probably, we'll have to see what happens with, how that's going to take shape. We didn't think we were going to do post-game shows after each basketball game, but you guys demanded it, and we do it now. So you never know. I can guarantee you we will not do one after every baseball, but maybe after every series. But we'll just see what happens. But we will definitely talk baseball here. Rob, you are the man, by the way. Thank you so much for that super chat there. I appreciate that, or super sticker. But thank you guys. Appreciate you guys so much for the kind words and being here as always. We'll talk some more baseball as we get through. And I agree, Rob, it's been a rough day, but we'll make it through it. We always do. That's who we are. We believe in work, hard work, and we always come out on the other side of these valleys much better as a team and as a family. Till I talk to you guys again, thanks for being here.